Over its long history, Le Mans has seen records that are so incredible, so unbreakable, that they'll likely stand forever. Today, we are counting down the top 10 Le Mans records that will never be broken. And as usual, don't forget to subscribe, as it helps us out a lot. The story of WM Peugeot and their groundbreaking record of car speed at Le Mans that stands to this day took place in 1988. The creation of this mad team comes down to two car-obsessed visionaries, Welter and Munier. They weren't satisfied with Peugeot just being an engine supplier. They wanted it to be a racing legend. Welter, behind models like the Peugeot 205, teamed up with engineering talent Munier, and together they formed WM Peugeot in Welter's garage. They knew they couldn't beat the big team, but they could still make history. WM Peugeot set out to shatter the speed record at Le Mans Mulsanne Straight. You know, the Mulsanne wasn't just any old piece of road. It was a 3.7 mile stretch where cars hit their absolute top speeds. The heavyweight champion of the record holder, Porsche, held on the crown for years with a blistering 240 miles per hour, set by their 917 back in 1971. By 1986, WM Peugeot had already taken a few swings at Le Mans, but let's be real, breaking into the elite club dominated by Porsche, Ferrari, and Jaguar was a hell of a task. Let me introduce you WMP87. Essentially a missile with wheels. I think that this thing was designed with one purpose: to go fast. Really fast. Hell, even the boss of Peugeot saw potential in this madness and handed over a 2.8-liter twin-turbo V6 engine to this bad boy, capable of cranking out a monstrous 850 horsepower. Not bad for a small team working out of a garage, huh? Sadly, Peugeot's attempts at Le Mans in 1987 ended with a dramatic engine failure after just 13 laps. Even the engine couldn't comprehend their ambitions, I think. It's 1988, Le Mans was roaring, and there, in the P88, sat Roger Dorchy. As Dorchy punched the throttle, the sound of that twin-turbo V6 shook the earth. The P88 was a rocket, and everyone in the pits knew it. Dorchy pushed the P88 harder with every lap until suddenly, boom! 252 miles per hour, the fastest speed ever recorded at Le Mans. In that instant, WM just owned the history. I guess even the engine couldn't comprehend the tension, and after 3 or 4 laps gave out. But that didn't matter. History was made. The record was set. And I don't think this speed would ever get toppled. Just 2 years after WM blasted their way into the history books, the Mulsanne Straight was transformed forever. In 1990, new regulations were thrown down, adding 2 chicanes that turned the iconic stretch into a playground for safety. And even if those chicanes were magically whisked away, don't hold your breath for a modern car to challenge WM's record. I think the P88 was a one-of-a-kind speed demon, engineered purely for one purpose: to shatter records. And today's machines, they prioritize reliability and fuel efficiency like a well-behaved family sedan. And which ones do you prefer? One of the most impressive records in the history of Le Mans, and one that stands out as nearly impossible to replicate today, is the longest solo stint, set by Eddie Hall in 1950. Not the big man who eats a lot, of course. Now, Le Mans is all about endurance, and it's common knowledge that teams rely on multiple drivers to handle the physically and mentally exhausting 24-hour race. In a modern Le Mans team, there are usually 3 drivers who switch out every couple of hours. This setup allows each driver to rest, eat, and recover between stints. Each stint lasts between 2 to 4 hours, depending on the strategy and conditions. Hall, on the other hand, took only a single short break in the entire 24 hours, completing the race without any rest. He was driving a 16-year-old modified Bentley with a 4.25-liter engine, producing over 160 horsepower. This was far from the lightning-fast speeds we see in today's 24-hour race, but it was still challenging, especially given that Bentley had limited suspension, no power steering, and basic brakes, which were nothing compared to today's sophisticated brake systems. Handling this car for nearly an entire day straight was an exhausting task, that's for sure. What's even more remarkable is that Hall's Bentley wasn't a front runner. He wasn't gunning for an overall victory, but rather for a strong finish. But his solo drive earned him not just a finish, but a respectable 8th place overall, which is an achievement in itself. Hall refused to get out of the car during pit stops, even though his co-driver was suited and booted and ready to take over. I was just curious to know about Eddie's toilet arrangements if he never left the cockpit for 24 hours, but I couldn't find any info. I guess there weren't any. So, why can't this record be broken? For starters, current FIA rules for the Le Mans 24 hours prohibit solo driving, and modern teams are required to have at least 3 drivers who rotate in shifts. Safety regulations prioritize driver health and well-being, which makes sense considering the punishing physical demands of a full 24-hour race at the speeds modern cars achieve. The cars themselves are another reason Hall's record is safe. Modern endurance race cars, especially the LMP1 and hypercar classes, are significantly faster and more complex than the cars of Hall's era. The level of concentration required to handle these machines, with speeds well over 200 miles per hour and G-forces in every corner, would simply be too much for one person to endure without brakes. In the world of Le Mans records, Eddie Hall's longest solo stint will likely remain unbroken forever, a reminder of just how much motorsport has evolved. One of the most iconic records in Le Mans history belongs to Porsche, the legendary German automaker with the most overall victories at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Porsche's first overall victory at Le Mans came in 1970 with the legendary Porsche 917, a car that completely transformed endurance racing. The 917 was a breakthrough in engineering, equipped with a flat 12 engine that delivered top speeds of around 240 miles per hour on the Mulsanne Straight. That year, Porsche not only secured their first victory, but also claimed second place, setting the tone for the decades of success that would follow. Porsche went on to dominate the 1980s with the Porsche 956 and its successor, the 962. The Porsche 956 made history in 1982 by claiming a 1-2-3 finish at Le Mans, a feat that highlighted Porsche's ability to build both fast and reliable machines. The 956 and 962 models would go on to secure 7 Le Mans victories for Porsche throughout the decade, cementing their place as the kings of endurance racing. In the mid-2010s, Porsche introduced the 919 Hybrid, a car that showcased their mastery of hybrid technology and sustainable racing. The 919 Hybrid was designed with a turbocharged V4 engine combined with an advanced energy recovery system, making it one of the most efficient and powerful cars on the grid. The 919 marked Porsche's return to the top of Le Mans in 2015, after a 16-year hiatus from LMP1 class. It didn't take long for the 919 Hybrid to assert its dominance, winning 3 consecutive races from 2015 to 2017. The 919 wasn't just successful, it was revolutionary. With its ability to recover energy from both braking and exhaust gases, it represented a significant leap in hybrid technology, setting a new standard for efficiency in endurance racing. These wins with the 919 Hybrid pushed Porsche's overall count to 19, a record that still stands today. In addition to technical mastery, Porsche has also been able to build a roster of legendary drivers who contributed to their success. Over the years, some of the most skilled drivers in motorsport have driven for Porsche at Le Mans, including Jackie Ickx, Derek Bell, and Timo Bernhard. Each driver brought their own strengths to the team, and Porsche's strategy has always been to leverage those strengths to secure a win, whether that meant pushing for fast laps or conserving fuel for a long finish. Now, why is this record unlikely to be broken? The cost of competing at Le Mans has skyrocketed, and many manufacturers enter the race for a few years before pulling out due to the expenses. Porsche's 19 victories didn't come from sporadic participation, they came from decades of relentless focus. Furthermore, Porsche's long-term strategy and their focus on endurance-specific technology has given them a unique edge. Many manufacturers join Le Mans as part of a broader marketing campaigns, but for Porsche, endurance racing is in their DNA. As endurance racing continues to evolve, Porsche's achievement stands as a benchmark in motorsport history, and it's hard to imagine any other manufacturer matching, let alone surpassing, this level of sustained success. One of the most legendary records in Le Mans history, and one that may never be broken, is held by Tom Kristensen, the Danish driver who clinched the most victories at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Kristensen's first win came in 1997, and it wasn't even supposed to happen. He was a last-minute substitute for Davy Jones at the Just Racing team, driving a TWR Porsche WSC 95. Despite being new to the team and the car, Kristensen quickly adapted. Winning on his debut is impressive enough, but it was just the beginning of a career that would see him become the undisputed Mr. Le Mans. Following his first victory, Kristensen went on to win 8 more times between 2000 and 2013, including 6 consecutive wins from 2000 to 2005, a feat no other driver has ever achieved at Le Mans. One of the key factors behind Kristensen's success was his partnership with Audi, a manufacturer that dominated the early 2000s in endurance racing. Kristensen's wins from 2000 to 2013 were largely behind the wheel of various Audi models, including the Audi R8, R10 TDI, and R18 e-tron Quattro. The R10 TDI, for example, was the first diesel-powered car to win at Le Mans, but it wasn't just about having a fast car. Kristensen's driving style was uniquely suited to the demands of endurance racing. Known for his smooth, controlled driving technique, he excelled at conserving tires and managing fuel consumption, critical skills for an event where pit strategy can make or break a race. Imagine competing in the most grueling 24-hour race on the planet, coming close to victory time and time again, only to watch it slip away. 6 times in a row? Crazy, right? This leaves Toyota with the most podiums before a first win record. Toyota's first attempt at Le Mans came in 1985, with the goal of establishing itself as a competitive force in endurance racing. At the time, the Japanese automaker was primarily known for reliable road cars and had minimal experience in motorsport, let alone the extreme demands of a 24-hour race. Their car, the Toyota 85C-L, was a solid effort but lacked the speed and durability needed to contend with endurance racing giants like Porsche and Jaguar. That year, Toyota managed a finish but not the podium, which only fueled their desire to improve. In the 1990s, Toyota introduced the 94C-V and later the GT1. The GT1 in particular became a fan favorite for its raw power and sleek design, but not secure any overall victories at Le Mans during that period. In 1999, Toyota came achingly close to winning with the GT1. With less than an hour remaining, They were in contention for first place, only for a tire failure to force the car to pit, allowing BMW to secure the victory. The heartbreak was palpable, and while Toyota had proved it could compete at the highest level, the elusive win still escaped them. Toyota returned in 2012 with a new approach, embracing hybrid technology that would redefine their racing strategy. Enter the Toyota TS030 Hybrid, a car that combined a 3.4-liter V8 with electric motors. But the competition was fierce, with Audi's e-tron Quattros dominating the scene. In 2013, Toyota achieved a second-place finish with the TS030, only to watch Audi secure yet another victory. The frustration was only increased with the TS040 Hybrid, Toyota's 2014 contender, which boasted nearly 1,000 horsepower thanks to its hybrid system. Unfortunately, the car suffered a mechanical failure during the race, costing Toyota yet another chance at victory. In 2016, Toyota came closer than ever before, with their new TS050 Hybrid. They were leading the race with only 3 minutes left on the clock. Kazuki Nakajima was behind the wheel, driving flawlessly, and it looked as if Toyota would finally break the curse. But in a heartbreaking twist, the TS050 suffered a mechanical failure on the final lap, coasting to a halt just minutes before the finish. Porsche seized the moment to take the win, and Toyota was left devastated, robbed of a victory in what I think was one of the most painful losses in Le Mans history. Then, in 2018, the long-awaited breakthrough finally came. Toyota entered 2 TS050 hybrids, determined to end the streak of near misses once and for all. With no major factory teams in the LMP1 class, Toyota seized the opportunity, and the 2 TS050s dominated the race from start to finish. After years of heartbreak and frustration, the number 8 car, driven by Sebastian Buemi, Kazuki Nakajima, and Fernando Alonso, crossed the finish line to secure Toyota's first ever Le Mans victory. One of the most mind-blowing records in Le Mans history is held by Josh Pearson, who became the youngest driver ever to compete in the legendary 24-hour race. This wasn't some junior karting event. It was the full-on Le Mans 24 hours, one of the toughest and most prestigious endurance races in the world. Pearson's path to Le Mans started young. No surprise there, but he moved through the ranks at a blistering pace. Like many drivers, he began his career in karting. By 15, he was already making a name for himself in endurance racing, competing in the European Le Mans Series and the Asian Le Mans Series with United Autosports, one of the top teams in the field. His performances in these series were strong enough to earn him a spot in the World Endurance Championship, putting him on the fast track to Le Mans. In 2022, Pearson made his debut at Le Mans, driving the LMP2 class. The average age of drivers in that category is closer to 30, with many of the sport's legends like Tom Christensen and Derek Bell achieving their success well into their 30s and 40s. For Pearson to compete at 16, he had to show that he was mature enough to handle the race's grueling demands, both in terms of skill and endurance. The 2022 race was challenging for many teams. However, Pearson's team managed to complete it and finished in 10th place in the LMP2 class. Not bad for a 16-year-old, is it? Let's start off with one of the most jaw-dropping records in Le Mans history, the fastest lap. Mike Conway's blistering lap of 3 minutes and 17 seconds in 2019 is one of those feats that seems almost untouchable. Think about it, Le Mans is not your average racetrack. It's 13.6 kilometers of intense, mixed terrain with iconic corners like the Porsche Curves and the Mulsanne Straight. Conway set this lap in a Toyota TS050 Hybrid, an absolute beast of a machine designed specifically to dominate endurance racing. With its powerful 2.4-liter V6 twin-turbo engine paired with electric motors, the TS050 churned out nearly 1,000 horsepower. That's almost as much power as a Formula 1 car, but with added bulk and durability necessary to withstand a full 24 hours of racing. To understand just how fast 3 minutes and 17 seconds really is, consider that Le Mans lap times are typically over 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Conway's lap came in well below this mark, setting a pace that would have been unimaginable just decades ago. One of the most challenging aspects of achieving this record was mastering the Mulsanne Straight. At nearly 6 kilometers, this stretch has seen countless legendary moments in Le Mans history. The Toyota TS050 hit close to 211 miles per hour here. But it was not just the car or the track. The 2019 Le Mans 24 Hours saw optimal weather, dry, mild, and with plenty of grip on the track. These are perfect conditions for laying down a quick lap, also rare in endurance racing. The stable conditions allowed Conway to push harder than usual, knowing he had the grip to hold the car through the Porsche Curves, for example. The TS050 Hybrid itself marked the end of an era as Toyota's last entry in the hybrid class before the series transitioned to hypercar regulations in 2021. The new hypercar rules kept maximum speeds and power outputs to promote a more balanced, eco-friendly approach to endurance racing. This means cars will no longer be built for outright speed like the TS050. This record will likely stand the test of time, a reminder of just how fast endurance racing would go under the right circumstances. Let's talk about one of the most inspiring records in Le Mans history, Dominique Bastien's achievement as the oldest driver to ever compete in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Bastien competed in the GTE AM category, a class that's known for including gentleman drivers alongside experienced pros. The GTE cars are high-performance machines based on production models. Bastien drove a Porsche 911 RSR, a powerful race car with a 6-cylinder engine capable of over 500 horsepower. To prepare for the challenge, Bastien didn't rely solely on his love for racing. He committed a rigorous fitness routine to ensure he could handle the demands of endurance racing. Beyond physical preparation, Bastien also brought a lifetime of racing experience to the track. While he may not have started as early as some professional racers, he had years of experience in various motorsport events. Instead of pushing the car to the limit every lap, he focused on staying smooth, avoiding mistakes, and preserving both himself and the car for the full duration of the race. Dominique Bastien's record is likely to stand for a long time, primarily due to the physical demands and stringent licensing requirements for endurance racing. Endurance racing has become faster and more competitive than ever, requiring even gentleman drivers to stay sharp and highly conditioned, qualities you can rarely find in 75-year-olds. One of the most unique records in Le Mans history is held by Henry Pescarolo, with the most retirements by a driver. Pescarolo's history at Le Mans began in 1966, and by the time he retired from racing in 1999, he competed in the 24-hour events a remarkable 33 times, more than most drivers could ever dream of. He also had 4 victories, proving that his persistence was about much more than just surviving the race. It was about pushing for excellence, despite the high rate of failure. This is especially impressive when you consider how brutal Le Mans was on cars and drivers back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, when Pescarolo was most active. Each year, drivers were essentially gambling with mechanical stability, knowing that any part failure could end the race prematurely. Pescarolo raced with brands like Matra, Porsche, and Ferrari, each providing different experiences and challenges. Each time Pescarolo switched cars and teams, he was effectively starting from scratch, learning the quirks and limitations of his new machine. However, one of the most frustrating aspects of Pescarolo's record was that many of his retirements happened when he was close to finishing strong, or even contending for the win. To put Pescarolo's record into perspective, his 18 retirements aren't just about bad luck. From engine blows to brake failures, he saw it all, often retiring after spending hours on track building up a promising position. After retiring as a driver, he founded Pescarolo Sport, his own team dedicated to competing at Le Mans, where he continued to apply his vast experience and love for the race. His team quickly gained respect, and under his guidance, Pescarolo Sport became known for its competitiveness, even going head-to-head with top manufacturers. One of the most fascinating records in Le Mans history is from 1931, the year with the fewest finishes on record. This record speaks volumes about how brutal and unpredictable Le Mans can be. The 1931 race started with 26 entries, a respectable field size for the era, featuring some of the top names and manufacturers of the time, including Alfa Romeo. But from the very start, this race was a challenge like no other. Mechanical failures began to pile up, and one by one, cars were forced to retire. Weather also played a huge role in the 1931 race, creating even more difficulties for the already struggling cars. The heavy rain that plagued the 1931 race turned the track into a slippery mess. The tires back then didn't offer the same grip or durability as modern racing tires, and wet weather only added to the risk of mechanical failures. The car's engines were also prone to overheating in the damp, humid conditions, causing additional stress on the vehicles. By the final hours, only a handful of cars remained, with 6 ultimately making it to the finish line. The winning car that year was an Alfa Romeo 8C 2300, driven by Lord Howe and Sir Henry Birkin, 2 legendary drivers who showed immense skill and stamina to survive the harsh conditions and constant mechanical threats. The Alfa Romeo 8C 2300 was a powerful machine for its time, equipped with a 2.3-liter straight-8 engine that allowed it to maintain a competitive pace. Which records amazed you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more motorsport content. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.